Alright guys, I am back with my review of American Horror Story Coven, Episode 5, Burn Witch Burn. And this episode starts off with a flashback to 1833. And it's Halloween, and Kathy Bates is having a party. And you know the game you play on Halloween where you put your hand in, and you're supposed to feel this gross object and guess what it is, and if it's eyeballs, it's really grapes, and it'll be like spaghetti, but you're supposed to think it's worms, and that whole thing. Well, Kathy Bates is playing this game with her guests, except the objects are really eyeballs. And this weird, slimy thing is actually guts. She pulled the eyeballs out of her slaves and their guts and everything just to play this game. So her daughters are just disgusted by her, and they're planning to kill her, but she knows this, so she puts her own daughters in the attic where she tortures her slaves for a year, and she tells one of them, the one who was the mastermind behind the plan, that on Christmas she's going to shit in her mouth or she's going to put shit in her mouth. Shit in her mouth. But yeah, this was great. Just shows how sadistic Kathy Bates' character was. So it cuts back to the present time, and all the zombies are outside. And she's having this flashback because her daughters are out there as zombies. So she's freaking out, and Zoe is trying to keep things under control. But the neighbor boy Luke is there, and he thinks this is all a prank. So he actually goes outside. And the zombies right now are just kind of swaying back and forth. But then Marie tells them to begin the attack. And Luke gets attacked. He's hurt. Nan runs outside to try to save him. They end up locked in a car. Zoe and the others go upstairs to barricade themselves into a room. Then we see Fiona. She's at the bar. Cordelia, she's been burned with the acid, so they take her to the hospital, and we find out she's blind. She lost her eyesight due to the acid, so Fiona is all depressed about this. She feels that it's her fault. If she never would have messed with Marie, none of this would have happened. So she's all upset about that, and she's wandering around this hospital taking random pills. The lights are flickering. There's patients just wandering around the halls. Like, what type of hospital is this? So then she goes into this room, and there's this woman crying, and her baby was stillborn, and Fiona uses her witch powers to bring the baby back to life. And that's what's happened so far. But one thing I wanted to mention about last week's episode, excuse me, someone left a comment saying that the bull head that was sent to Marie was the Minotaur's head. And I really cannot believe they would kill the Minotaur character off screen. So apparently Fiona killed the Minotaur. That would have been really cool to see. And they were hyping up this Minotaur as this badass monster, and then they kill him off screen. So I thought that was really just disappointing. Kathy Bates is getting some ice for Queenie. And she sees one of her daughters outside, one of these zombie daughters. And she starts to feel guilty, so she lets it in. And of course it attacks her. But I mean, she can't really die, so it's not a big deal. But Queenie's upstairs just barking out orders. And she tells Spaulding to go see what's keeping Kathy Bates. The zombie attacks him. And then the zombie tries to attack Queenie. So Queenie uses her powers of the human voodoo doll to try to battle the zombie, which I thought was really cool. She takes a piece of glass and cuts her throat. But none of this has an effect on the zombie. It just temporarily slows it down. And when the zombie's about to get her, Kathy Bates comes up from behind and stabs the zombie through the back. And I guess if you pierce their heart, they die. It was weird, but she saves Queenie. So Luke and Nan are still trapped outside. And Zoe saves them with a chainsaw. She just starts mowing down all of the zombies. This was very badass. I really like Zoe's character. And the chainsaw runs out of gas when there's one zombie left. And then Zoe does some type of spell thing. And the zombie just collapses. It's like insta-death. And Marie, who was controlling all of these zombies, like faints. She loses control of the spell, and then when she gets up, she's like, they got some real power in that witch house now. So I thought this whole thing was really cool, definitely building up Zoe as the next Supreme. And then we see Fiona. She's in Cordelia's room, and Cordelia's husband shows up, Hank. And Fiona and Hank kind of get into it, and she says that he's a piece of shit. Cordelia's the best he could ever do. And the nurse comes in and is like, one of you guys has to leave or I'm going to call security. So Fiona says, I'm going to give you 15 minutes. But after that, you can either leave or I'm going to throw you out myself. And when she leaves, Hank touches Cordelia's hand. And I guess being blinded has awakened some power within her, because when he touches her hand, she sees all the fucked up shit he did when he was having sex with that girl. So now she knows he's been cheating on her. Alright, so the next day they're burning the bodies of all the zombies. And Luke is in the house recuperating. He hasn't gone home yet. I'm sure when he does, his mom's going to freak out and it's going to cause a whole bunch of drama. Plus he knows there's something up with this house now. But they're burning the bodies of all the zombies, and the Witches' Council wants to talk to Fiona. And Myrtle says it's in the best interest of the Coven that she steps down as Supreme. Even though they don't have a new Supreme yet, they just think all this bad shit started happening once she came back to the Coven. They just need to get rid of her. And Fiona says that Myrtle was the one who threw acid in Cordelia's face. And Myrtle was the one who killed Madison Montgomery because she was in town at the time Madison went missing. And the council members are like, what? And Fiona takes Myrtle's glove off, and her hand is burned like she's been holding acid. So the council members are like, burn the witch. And Quentin says, seconded. And Fiona says, it's unanimous. Well, it doesn't take much to convince these people, does it? I mean, this is life or death. And they decided this in like 30 seconds. That was the end of the investigation. I couldn't believe this. This was too much for me. But whatever, they're going to kill her. So they take her to the stake. Zoe's there, Queenie's there, they're all there. And Myrtle gets burned. So she's dead. So they all go home. And you knew something was up. Because we know for a fact Fiona killed Madison. But the acid thing, you're thinking, okay, maybe Myrtle did throw the acid in Cordelia's face because she does hate Fiona so much. So I was thinking that is possible, but she definitely didn't kill Madison. So something was going on here. And back at the house, Queenie goes to talk to Fiona. And she says, did we frame a guilty person or an innocent person? And then we see what really happened. Fiona had Queenie use her voodoo doll powers to put her hand in acid and have the burns appear on Myrtle's body. So Myrtle did nothing wrong here. It was all Fiona. She set this whole thing up. And with Fiona, it's kind of a love-hate thing. You love the character, but you also hate her because she's just so damn evil and selfish. So I really hated this part because I do like the Myrtle Snow character. And I would really like to see her get her comeuppance on Fiona. But the last thing we see is Misty, the Stevie Nicks witch, goes to the stake where Myrtle was burned. Myrtle's body is still there. That's another thing I thought was just absurd, is the stake is still there, the body's there, they just left everything. And Misty uses her powers to bring Myrtle Snow back to life. And that's how the episode ended. I thought this was badass. So glad Myrtle Snow is back. And I have to say, this was a really good episode this week. You had the zombie stuff in the beginning, the flashback with Kathy Bates and the way she would torture her daughters. Then you had the Cordelia stuff with her finding out about Hank cheating on her. Even though they didn't show any more of that in this episode, you know it's coming. So I thought that was great. And then you had the stuff with Myrtle Snow and being burned at the stake. So now this Myrtle Snow Fiona feud is going to heat up. Just a really good episode. And they didn't show a preview of next week's episode, even though they said they were going to, which I thought was weird. But Very good episode this week. So anyways, that's my review. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this episode in the comments, and thanks for watching.